Has it been influencing before? Has elections been being influenced before?
No, I'm trying. That is not a matter of discussion. I'm trying to build a case.
He's bringing out the speculations that already.
You're also planting ideas in our head that elections kumbe have been influenced before.
No, I'm saying
because it cannot just begin in 2022.
I'm saying this, MESHACK,
you found that narrative somewhere.
Be tolerant.
Yeah.
There is a narrative that is being built up that the Huduma number is going to influence elections in 2022 going forward. If we are not going to have
a conversation around
that,
the speculations will
and now we have had somebody who has been appointed as the data commissioner.
Yes.
And this person was
still a data commissioner then.
Yeah, and has unilateral powers around how this data is going to be used. Then that is a recipe of chaos.
Now you are talking.
So we need to ask ourselves. Gerald, how are we going to make this data, even as much as it is going to be handled by one person, how are we going to make that? How are we going to make sure that this data can be verified?
Yes. It's not manipulated.
And it is not manipulated, and it can go according to the will of the people.
Thank you, Gerald. Now the discussion is taking shape. The problem I have is just one, that it is not the first time such a thing is being said in Kenya.
So we should not fix it because not the first time.
No. Then it was said, but what did we say?
So is it about the solutions or who has said what at what point?
Okay, so now because the shoe has changed, we now want
about the shoe because what you say.
Solutions.
The thing is, okay, give us solutions. Okay, give us solutions.
Some people also feel the shoe kidogo, and we all look for solutions.
We are not fixing anything.
It is not that ikinifinya we are okay. Then ikifika kwako we want solutions haraka. No, stay there.
So you're out for revenge. You are out for revenge.
No, I'm not for revenge. The narrative I'm pushing is when we have all seen its badness, we all rise up together to fix it.
But that's what you are saying.
For example,
because it might also the shoe, you never know. You don't have the shoe permanently. It might switch again.
Okay, we have tested it. So you don't scare us with it. We know it. So it is time for you to test it. Then when we both agree that this shoe in Afenya, we need to put it aside. All of us go one direction to put it aside, and we fix a country. For example, when the former Prime Minister talked about
your last rounds of comments.
For example, when the former Prime Minister spoke about Waiguru, the shoe had not pitched the people of Kirinyaga then. Yeah, they all thought this guy, hapana, huyu mzee ni mbaya kabisa, ni mwizi, ni mchawi, all those names, until William himself was able to tell him, wakiwa Kakamega na Uhuru, wachana na Waiguru, face me and Uhuru. Waiguru is a small person. I mean, I have those in my head. They are running all the times. Then a time came when the people of Kirinyaga stamped authority to show Raila that we want this lady. Yeah. Now the shoe is pitching. So Raila is telling them, wait a minute. I mean, when ikipitch kidogo after a few minutes later, then we all will rise to fight corruption in any sphere, whether in Nyanza or Central. Because at that time, when corruption was mentioned here, you are fighting our government, you are fighting our son, you are fighting our minji. So let it pitch kidogo here and there, and then we all rise as a nation and say, to hell with all these shoes that are pitching. We want a shoes that is now comfortable for our country. We will be a prosperous nation.
But Baba has been gallivanting with Minji.
Of course, because the shoe must pitch on the other side for some time. Mbona wao wakisikia shoe kidogo tu hivi wana kutoa. Hapana. Na hatujafika safari. Nani anatoa viatu kama nilikuwa nakuja hapa tackle? Ati nimefika town nishatoa viatu. Nafika tackle without shoes. No. I mean, lazima
so we complete the journey.
Nirudi nyumbani, alafu na issue sitawahi vaa tena.
So we complete the journey.
Let us complete the journey.
Lucia. You know, ODEDE is speaking with behalf of the government, so you don't take him lightly.
MESHACK is the person who wants, because I suffered, you also need to suffer before we can try to even find.
By then about to rumia excess wa MESHACK. Lazima excess wa MESHACK kwa muumia sana.
Kwa maisha.
Alright, ngoja tuchukue simu tusikie. Hello. Good morning.
Well,
Yes.
Good morning, Gerald. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to leave a few comments.
Please.
Yes, because I'm looking at the kind of comments that are being left here by my fellow youth on the comment section, and I'm very sad.
Yes.
Because we're talking about election management in this country. And we have had issues with election management for a very long time. I mean, in 2007, we had issues with elections management, and we had Kriegler put in some recommendations. Then Ruto was in Raila's side, so he backed those recommendations. In 2013, we had the election issues, and CJ Willy Mutunga's Supreme Court brought in some recommendations in 2013. Those recommendations were not brought to the table. IBC ignored them. In 2017, we had issues, and Maraga's Supreme Court also brought about some recommendations, which IBC has not taken into account. Now, if you look at this trend, it means that in 2022, we will have issues again, and we don't know who will be on the receiving end. It might as well be Ruto. So when we are talking about elections, and when we're talking about election management, and the costly cost of running elections in this country, and the fact that we had to do presidential elections twice, let us not think about it as Raila does not accept. It is not a question of Raila or Ruto. It is a question of poor management of elections, which we have seen. Next time, it might be as well Ruto who is on the receiving end. So let us not talk about it on that end. Let us think about how IBC has mismanaged the election. Let us think about how 3 separate elections, we've had recommendations that IBC has ignored. And what will we do as citizens to make sure that elections, even if we're not talking about 2022, we're talking about elections for the future that will help our people vote and know that their votes will count, whether Raila loses or Ruto loses. So this is my first point. My second and last point. Let us stop talking about election losers as if they're demons. You know, that man is a loser. That man, no. Let us stop pacifying and vilifying election losers. The other day, Hillary Clinton lost an election in America. Today or tomorrow or sometime this week, Joe Biden or Trump, one of them will lose an election. It will not make them less American. They're still American.
Yes.
And their word should still count on how the America is being run. So when we are talking about election losers, let us not vilify and say that man is a loser, that man is used to losing. Even if he's a loser, he has millions of people who supported him. And those millions of people have a say on how this country should be run. Let us not go back to a situation where we have Kenyans saying that Kenya should be divided in two. That we should not go there. Let us talk about how we will keep Kenya one. Whoever loses, whoever wins, and
honorably.
Still has a say. Yes.
Okay. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. We need to fix institutions, not people. Because people come and go. But the institutions must be transient. They must, they must outlive us. If you look at America, for instance, the elections are going, and they're tight to tight, neck to neck. And by the end of today, we'll be able to get the results. And I'm pretty sure that we are not going to need a BBI there. We're not going to have post-election violence and all other things. I mean, because institutions have outlived the people. It's not about the people who are running for office. Actually, there were almost 1,500 candidates for presidency in America, and only 2 are on the last leg right now. And also, I'm telling these guys is we need to build institutions that outlive the politicians, because once we bring in the politicians, that's where the emotions come in.
Yes.
But when we discuss institutions, then it becomes an issue of an institution that can serve me and can serve you. It doesn't matter whether tomorrow, because politics, watu wanakutana kila siku. Who could ever imagine that Uhuru and Raila Odinga would be in government? Raila Odinga was saying Uhuru anavuta bangi na kunywa pombe. Uhuru anasema huyu ni mkorogi na ni mganga. Hatujiambiwa alipona lini ama aliacha bangi lini, but they're still together.
Yes.
So if we leverage our institutions around the people, then it means every other time we have to change the institution when different people are in one place.
Yes. And at the end of the day, Gerald, I hate to bring death, but the truth is we will all die.
Yes.
At the end of the day, Raila will pass away, Ruto will pass away, Uhuru will pass away at some point. I mean, our founding president, Kenyatta, passed away, Moi passed away.
Yeah.
So let us not look at these people as if they are the beginning and the end of Kenya. They will come, they have come, and they will go. We don't know when they will go, but they will go. Yeah, so
All
let's
right.
talk about institutions and not about individuals. Thank you, Gerald.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Sasa mmesikia Mkenya anaongea kama Wakenya 53. All right. That was quite a conversation. All right, guys. Lucia, you're the one who was speaking.
I was saying MESHACK is very
As we-
unforgiving, and this is a mentality that we need to kill. And I hope my brother MESHACK will kill it. We don't. They already know the suffering. They know what it is. It is what it is. They know. It's not that they don't know. They don't have to go through it. They are aware. They're the ones who made the rules that are now oppressing them. They know. So that shoe has pinched, and it already has. It's time for Kenya to heal. It's time for us to start talking about ideologies. Let's come here and have a discussion on how the excess food from Trans Nzoia can reach to the people in Tana River. Let's talk about how the floods can be harnessed to provide water to Nairobi, which is a problem. Let's talk about how we are going to eradicate corruption. Let's talk about ideologies. Hii siasa ya sijui ni nani alisema, alipeana, alifanya, until a day when it comes when that person will put in measures that will secure the future of your fourth generation. It's not worthy talking about them. Just the other day, Norman wanted to kill himself, and nobody was giving two shits at that moment, simply because our politics are tethered on persons rather than, right now the disagreements that our politicians are fighting is because they think another politician is going to get more than they will get. They're looking out for their own interests. No one is looking out for the interest of Atieno and Wanjiko. Nobody, none of them, not even Baba himself. Tusidanganyane. And you know that, MESHACK. You know how our politicians are. You know they will never drive this country anywhere. They've been in politics for over 25 years. It took China 20 years to move from a low-income economy to a high-income economy. If our politicians wanted to change this nation, if Ruto cared about the hustlers, he would have done what China did 20 years ago. He's been in politics for over 20 years. Same to Raila, same to Uhuru, same to Wetangula, same to Mudavadi, same to all the politicians that we heckle their names out here. They have not done it. Stop supporting someone who has not done anything for your fourth generation, MESHACK. Don't look at yourself right now. You will die. You're not immortal. Neither are our politicians immortal. They're all going to die. A few years from now, they will all be dead. But our children are going to live on. So do you want a country where your child will come and still continue to make noise over the same issues that you're making noise over right now? Is that what you want for your generations? Or do you want them to come and find a better Kenya? We cannot start having a better Kenya if we are just focused on the wrong things. And I'm sure you know the BBI is the wrong thing. We have a misplaced priority when it comes to that. You know it. You better start saying it. Because history will judge you harshly. Your children will judge you harshly. Your generations will judge you harshly if you don't stop the psychophancy that is going on in this country right now. And this applies to all Kenyans who are psychophants. If you cannot see behind your tribal demigod, if you cannot see behind it, if you cannot see behind Hustler Nation, you're being given wheelbarrows right now when you should be being given something else, when you shouldn't even be needing that wheelbarrow in the first place. Mbona hizo wheelbarrow hazijapelekewa watu wa mjengo? Ask yourself that question. Why is it that in 2020 you need to be given kazi mtaani ya kuclear drainage? Why is it that we don't have better waste management systems? Why is it that in 2020 lazima ukuje kwa mtandao ukilia ndio tukuchangie pesa ya kwenda hosi? Can you ask yourself, why is it that we do not have better healthcare system when we've had the same people in politics for over 3 decades? That should tell you there's a consistency in something, and that consistency is not development. And they did not just wake up tomorrow and decide we are now helping the hustlers na masafaras and we are going to change the narrative. They are not. It's a campaign tactic, and once you've been used, you will be dumped like the piece of shit that you are.
Mic drop. Karobia, your last comment. I can say MESHACK is very sentimental.
No, I'm listening.
Lucia has really lectured us on supporting, but it's okay. Maybe my parting shot is that when we are making laws, we should not make them having a particular person in mind, we should make our laws and policies with a view of making Kenya good or greater. We should make deliberate efforts to also listen to each other, irrespective of the political affiliation or persuasion, irrespective of the region he or she comes from. And that is the way we are going to build this nation. I also want to talk to my fellow youths that we need to be active in nation building. We should not leave this nation to the old guards, because we are the ones, they have inherited this world or this country from us. So it's upon us to try as much as possible to be active in whichever sector that you are in, political sector, economic sector, or social sector. Be the best in whichever sector that you are playing a role in, because that is the only way we can move this nation. The gross domestic product that is made every year to capture the development that we have as a country is based on every commercial effort that citizens do make. So the same, if this nation is to move forward socially and culturally and politically, we must make every deliberate effort so that the growth of this nation is going to be the aggregate of every effort that we put in as youth of this republic. If the BBI you feel is good for you, be active in it. If you feel it's bad or it's not progressive like I do, be active in it or be opposite in totality, because that is how we are going to move this nation. And that is the only way we can listen to each other. The doctrine of negotiation says that only two people at war can make peace. So when we are making alternative thoughts, that is the only way we are going to move this nation forward. A nation cannot be made just when there's a unilateral thought or there's only one dimension of thinking. There ought to be a diverse way of thinking, and that is how nation building is conducted. Thank you.
All right. My good friend, Odede.
Yes.
The one and only man who killed a dead lion.
Gerald, my tackle this morning is this. Number one, I think Lucia is talking from the civil society point of view, which is very much allowed and welcomed. The only thing we need to underline is there is no day civil society will rule politics in any country. They will just be civil society and they will check government. They cannot replace the politicians because that's not their role. So that's why sentiments like none of these people will come like 1,000 times. I mean, if we were to take that literally, so we do have a government anymore or politicians anymore? We just have none, because we went to bed, we woke up with nobody in any office, none of those people. Probably we take a whole new people, but maybe that might not change things a lot, because we also aware that in our parliament, almost 70% goes home every election, and the new people comes. But again, nothing changes. The new who comes, some of them come from civil society, others come from academia, others come from other sectors. They all find themselves in parliament. Then after a few years, we realize nothing much has changed. So if we say none of them go home, and then the next morning we have a whole new bunch, we're just going to pick that new bunch from this, me and you and another person. And probably now for me, it should work like a relationship. If I work more on myself, my relationship will work better than if I try to work on the girl or the woman. If the woman work more on herself, we can have it for a long time than if she tries to work on me, try to change me, try to do this on me. Sometimes I will be resistant to some things. But if I work on myself, there are things I can change easily without any. So the final bit is, I mean, I do not want to say you are sycophant because you're supporting William Ruto. I mean, it is just your choice. nothing makes me sycophant because I'm supporting Raila Odinga. I'm just supporting him because I believe in him being consistent in trenches to open. Gerald, some of us are young, but not young enough not to know that shows like this were not allowed in this country at some point.
Yeah.
But somebody was consistently on the street to get it here.
Yeah.
Now, even if we now feel like they have done nothing, they will never change anything, I know what they have changed. I was alive when KANU youth was coming to get the chicken that is supposed to take me to school because DC is visiting our village. My mother had to give it out. I was alive when they went to the market na wanachukua ticket ya KANU with the few bananas to sell and buy things for us. I was alive when that happened. And I was alive the same time some people were in jail and trenches to do away with that. I know they changed some things. Somebody does not know that. Maybe they read in books. So it looks like the story of Abunwasi and other things. It doesn't make sense to them. They were born in a free space. They are free Americans. They want politics like Joe Biden and C.G. Bush. We want to understand what actually happened after the freedom came. Are we really free? If somebody needs to continue consistently to fight, we will learn from those people and we will pick it from there until we will be finally free as a country. Last, I don't think the president means bad. Gerald, to be honest,
I cannot believe it's on ODEDE now.
This is the last one. Okay. To be honest, if nothing happened like handshake or BBI, what country would Uhuru Kenyatta have left for William Ruto? Because my people had gone. They refused the elections of 26th. They stayed on the road day and night. They cooked on the road. They fought guns and bullets. And they said, if we need to die, we are going to die in this election, and our generation coming will have a free country according to us. I don't think Uhuru was going to leave any country to William Ruto. I think Uhuru had to go to the handshake because he loves his deputy and he wanted to leave power and country to him, if you ask me.
Okay.
That might be so deep for somebody to understand. Uhuru had to go home and leave one country to William Ruto. If he left it the other way it was, I think William Ruto would have had very little to desire even to become president of such a country. For now, he could be in problems. It could look like he has been sidelined. It could look like things have changed. But I think Kenya is back. Because my people were consistently talking about secession, secession, secession. And perhaps you don't know my people. They don't fear bullets. They can die for anything they believe in. William Ruto would not have had a country to inherit. I think he should just look at Uhuru in the eye and say thank you. Right. At least I have a chance to fight for presidency for a country that is one, although with many troubles.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining in. Nimeambiwa lazima niwafanyie handshake kabla mjaenda, so ndawafanyia handshake kabla hatujaenda. Acha tusikie mambo ya America kidogo from Oga. Hello. Yes, boss. Hello. Hello.
Yes, how are you?
Fine. Now I'm seeing our good guy is opening the gap.
Oh yeah. Well, it's crossing actually. But we still have a long way to go.
All right. Very quickly take us through the elections here.
Yeah. I mean, practically 224 versus 212, and we still have very important races. That will be Georgia. We have Wisconsin and Michigan. That looks like they're leaning Trump, but you never know. But the very important one to look at is Pennsylvania with 20 electoral votes. And that one so far is leaning Biden. And the reason is the votes that are being counted already are only those that were counted today. the mail-in vote in millions has not been counted yet. It looks like that's also actually what's making Trump go on Twitter ranting. Because he knows for sure he might lose Pennsylvania. Now, for Biden to win this thing, he needs North Carolina. It looks like he's still hanging there. He needs Pennsylvania. He needs Minnesota. I think he's been given Minnesota, actually. He needs Arizona, Nevada, and Maine. So that's about 6 states to go. But, so 6 and the other 6. So 12 states will basically determine this election. And it looks like it could go either way. Now, there's another scenario where a lot of people haven't talked about it. The scenario where you have 269 each. What will happen there?
Yeah.
It's very possible. If you play with the map, you realize there's a possibility of 269 each.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens, the U.S. Constitution says that each state will be allocated 1 vote. For example, what is it called? Florida, or any other state, say Texas or California, will be given 1 vote. California, normally they have 55 electoral votes, but they will count as 1. Now, if you go with that, instead of having 1 vote, obviously Trump will win, because it looks like he's won a lot of states, and those states don't have a lot of electoral votes. Now, what will happen is the Congress will be the one to make the final decision. And from the look of things, it looks like the Democrats are going to control the Congress. They've been controlling. They've actually gained 1 more from what they had already. So you're actually looking at a crisis if that we're going to have 269 each. Now, what's the crisis here? Unbeknown to many people, the U.S. has been polarized to a point where if you are, say, pro-Democrat, you're seen to be an enemy of the state. Or if you are, say, Republican, you seem as a hater. And with that said, there's been a lot of mobilization of the so-called alt-right and the far-left militias. I'm very sure a lot of you have seen a lot of trainings happening. You've seen the data from, U.S. that shows guns are gone up. The purchase of guns is up, and ammunition. Why are people arming themselves now? It's the fear. Online or social media platforms are actually labeling that as misleading. That's misleading because the U.S. Constitution in every state or every state's constitution states that once the poll is and you are on the line, you're allowed to cast your vote. So it looks like Trump actually is preparing his people for a battle.
Okay.
And I was telling someone earlier today that this guy actually should be a president in Africa. He doesn't need to be a president of the United States, a mature democracy like that. I had some of our friends here on your show talking about, Kenya being a democracy. There's something called pseudo-democracy. Nobody should ever mention that Kenya is a democracy. Hopefully next time they mention that in your show, you need to put them down and let them know that, democracy, there's an of, measuring the level of democracy in a country. A country where police can just, shoot you and beat you up the way they want, that's not a democracy. A country where the president can go against what the courts have decided. It's not a democracy. It's called a pseudo-democracy. So anyhow, I'm diverting from what I was saying earlier. Trump shouldn't be president of the United States. I'm not supporting either Biden or is very uninspiring. But the way Trump is talking and the way he's tweeting is too emotional for that kind of an office. We've always known that, but he's always, it looks like there's no new low point for him. He always goes lower than what we've gotten used to.
Okay, so are there any chances of violence in America after the elections? Any post-election violence? Any probability?
Absolutely. I mean, I did a research on this one, and for example, you saw some people who they wanted to kidnap what is it called? State what? The head of a state is what in US? What is it called? Goodness, you have to remind me.
The governor.
Anyway, the head of there's a state, the head of a state. It's like a governor in Kenya. So they wanted to kidnap one of the leader of a certain state because she absolutely said there is no going to the market or opening. There's no opening of the state because of coronavirus. Now you see a lot of militias running around the streets with guns. You even see during Black Lives Matter marches that there's counter protesters. Those people were not just there just for show. They were telling everyone else who cares to know that they are there to protect and to cause havoc if it needs to be.
Okay.
And there's high chances if Trump is going to say the elections were rigged, and you can see what he's tweeting now. Yeah. He's preparing his people that, this election is not going to be fair and free. More like Raila in Kenya. I know somebody is in studio now.
You want to cause me another problem. I just fixed another problem. You want to bring another.
The US doesn't make you know everything.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I know
Very quickly, as we close it up,
say,
because of time.
Yeah. So we might not. Hopefully, they will resolve this thing. But for sure, watch out for Pennsylvania. There will be court challenges from tomorrow. So we have to stay and watch that. But for now, I will end it there. My name is Kipchumba Kibwambok.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Your name betrays you.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you. This guy's you've already profiled him. Thank you guys for joining in. It's always a pleasure to have you. We hope to see you again tomorrow. Asante sana. Wale wa Kenya ambao wako America na wako Kenya hii, the American analyst from Kiamaiko. We wish you a very good day. Continue analyzing American politics. Tukimaliza tunarudi BBI. This is a tackle and the tackle ends now. Bye bye and see you tomorrow. Baada handshake kama jamaa. Wewe endeni Karobia. Enda pale mkula handshake na huyo jangili yako.
Every politician knows other than talking.
Haya, endeni huko mkula handshake Karobia.
It's all love at the tackle.
Sawa. Lazima wajue kwamba mkitoka hapa mlimani kamera ni ile mtatumia kamera ya ODEDE.
I have very many friends in that other side. Akina
Mumefanya ODEDE amekula fire hapa asubuhi bana.
No, but some things.
Amewasha moto Nairobi na venye mvua imenyesha.
So mkula handshake yenu bana, msalimiane. You see, these guys are friends. Hawananga shida. He tackle, it's all love at the tackle and nothing more.
Where they meet. They meet with decorum. When those people when they meet, a lot of decorum.
Lakini nyinyi mnapenda kushagana.
Sisi kama atanirudisha kwa serikali, unajua yako kwa serikali.
Muingie kwa serikali mkule wewe. Lakini nilimuuliza jana kama ataniingiza akasema hata tujakula mpaka tujafika mahali, muache tukule kwanza.
But to be honest, Mani, the best way to learn lessons sometimes are practical. This lesson that this will be bad for you, that lesson does not get anywhere. Sometimes it is good to let Bitok just have it, not suffer. Just learn practically, and then we all rise.
And then we close the exam room.
And then we say, now, You know what I know. So let's do away
Let's sit
with
now
this
and
part
fix
one.
these things.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. What a pleasure to have you. The tackle ends now. See you again.